Welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at GodsFiveMinutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. Leviticus 32:9 reads, "For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land and in the waste howling wilderness. He led him about, he instructed him, he kept him as the apple of his eye." Now, it's plain that persons can possess other persons only by love, sympathy, and communion. From that it follows that the possession must be mutual. Only he can say, "Thou art mine," who can say, "I am thine." And so to possess God and to be possessed by God are two ways of saying the same thing. If we link this concept to God's further declaration that lies at the foundation of the national life of Israel, "Ye shall be unto me a peculiar treasure above all people," we find a powerful connection to the Christian church. Accordingly, Peter quotes the same words, "a peculiar people," as properly applying to Christians. The term peculiar is used in describing both Old Testament and New Testament believers in its proper original sense of meaning a people for God's own possession, and has no trace of the modern definition of unique or exceptional. God has a special ownership in some people. He owns these people because he has given himself to them. God possesses and is possessed by us who are his inheritance, that he may give and receive services of love. That is a right of total ownership and possession inherent in the very relation of Creator and what he has created, so that the being made is absolutely at the disposal and is the property of him that makes him. But is that enough for God's heart, or even worth calling ownership at all? A slave owner may by law have the most absolute right of property over his slave, may be able to do anything he wants to him, may have the power of life and death. But this ownership is only the mortal clay of a man. The man himself may be free and may smile at the claim of possession. That kind of authority and ownership, absolute and total to the point of death, may satisfy a slave driver. It does not satisfy the loving heart of God. It is not real possession at all. In what sense did Nero own Paul when he put him in prison and cut off his head? Does a slave owner really own the man whom he whips within an inch of his life and who dare not do anything without his master's permission? Does God, in any sense that corresponds with the longing of infinite love, own anyone who reluctantly obeys him? No, indeed. His great loving heart cries out for a deeper relationship and much more tender ties, and though all creatures are his and all men are his servants and his possession, yet there are some who have the right to be called the king's own. The Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. Looked at this way, clearly the next thought is that the special relationship of possession is constituted by mutual love. The one thing whereby God considers that he possesses a person at all is when the love falls upon that person's heart and soaks into it, and when there springs up in the heart a corresponding emotion and affection. The souls who welcome the divine love that goes through the whole world, seeking such to worship it and to trust it and to become its own, and who therefore lovingly yield to the loving divine will and take it for their law, these are the ones he regards as his portion and the lot of his inheritance. Those parables of our Lord's, the lost sheep, the lost coin, the lost son, in their infinite beauty, while they contain a great deal besides, nevertheless, contain this in their different ways. The money, the animal, the man belong to the woman of the house, the shepherd to the father. Each is lost in a different fashion, but the most clear relation is given in last of the three, which explains the other two. The son was lost when he did not love the father, and he was found by the father when he returned to the father's yearning heart. Friends, we're knitted to God by the silken cord of love let down from heaven, which we by our own hand wrap around our own hearts. Have you talked to him today?
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at GodsFiveMinutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.
Never miss your favorite show again. For more than 30 years, KNEO has been bringing you great Bible teachers on a local and national level. And now, we've made it easier than ever to hear from these great men and women of God. KNEO's entire lineup is now available to listen anytime, anywhere, through our website. Go to kneo.org/podcast to see all the options. You can search for programs alphabetically, or you can select individual categories like culture, kids, leadership, or music. We even have a category just for locally produced programs, so you can hear from pastors and spiritual leaders located right here in the 4-state area. And all these resources are absolutely free. KNEO's mission is to get God's Word in front of you, and this is one of the ways we do it. Give it a try today. Go to kneo.org and click on the podcast tab to get started.